Is there a more successful personality in the history of film? You know him as the Academy Award winner for True Grit, and I've just had now 2 or 3 days to get to know him, and he really is like he is. Do you know what I mean by that? Well, I'll explain it later. It certainly is a great pleasure for me to be able to say, ladies and gentlemen, John Wayne.
I really didn't expect him to be that big, did you? You're 6'2". 6'4". 6'4". You like
Listen,
that, huh?
I look...
Yeah? Well, let's... John, you're just going to have to just sit here and enjoy it.
Well, I have to look up at every basketball player in the country. I feel short now.
No, I thought maybe that you know, the way they shoot movies, and I put the camera on the ground and shoot you next to an oak tree or something, but you really are a very, very big fellow. And you aren't, I don't know if I've ever seen you on a talk show. You don't kind of, you hate this, don't you? Come on.
No, I do not hate it. I've gone on Merv Griffin 2 or 3 times. I've been on with Carson.
They treat you
trying to think, yeah, you know, I'll give it back.
Do you?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be imitated by all those people? Is that...
Well, it's hard to keep up my image. I can't imitate all of my imitators, so I'm afraid they won't know who the fella's imitating.
Rich and Gorshin and Viner and all of it. Who? How would you imitate John Wayne?
Just
one line. Just one line.
Well, all right, Pilgrim.
You know, he went shopping over the weekend. Was it over the weekend in downtown Chicago?
Yeah.
And if you don't see him, which is very hard not to do, heads turn just because of the voice. All over Michigan Avenue. Was that bad? That's a bad imitation. You got the Oscar for True Grit. You are certainly one of the most remarkably successful people in the history of your business. And you're a sort of an unassuming fellow, you know? You're just sort of standing there. I get the feeling that you're not quite sure what...
I'm not quite sure about anything, particularly in front of a bunch of women.
Yeah. Did you fight as a kid? Did you ever really give somebody a shot?
My name was Marion Michael Morrison. Do you think I ever fought?
You had to compensate for the name.
Yeah, yeah.
You had a horse, as I recall, that you...
Named Marion? No.
But you did have didn't you? You had a horse as a kid, didn't you? A skinny...
Oh, yeah, I had to go to school out in Mojave Desert. I had to go to school on a horse. He was kind of skinny, so they called me Skinny for a while.
Let me get you... Can I ask you some heavy stuff? You know?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You don't get mad at me, will you?
Not very often.
That's the biggest hand.
The only thing that's quick-tempered in this state is the weather. I can't believe it. Man, they got mad at somebody yesterday, didn't they?
It was. It just went, all of a sudden, wham, it was like the end of the world. You want Ronald Reagan to be president?
Of course.
You working out there, or how do you feel about it? Is it going to happen?
I think he's going to have a tough job, particularly on the press. I see yesterday, you know, when the president's camp won a state that was in the president's pocket by 53 to 47%, they made a big hullabaloo. It's headlines.
Now, what state you mean?
Well, in this case, it was Illinois, wasn't it?
Well,
40.
Reagan got a little over 40% of the vote here.
43%, yeah.
Okay. And your point is what? That's okay?
This made a great big thing now. It's headlines. Cronkite and his lesser satellites say he's all through. Now, last week he won one state, what was it, 92 to 8%. Another one he won 75 to 25%. Another one he won by a big majority. Even in the Tribune, it was on page 16, and in the more liberal papers, it was on 39 at the bottom of a feature on somebody else. I mean, I just can't understand how the one thing can be so important and the other not.
So you think he's got a real shot then? You know,
I think that the man has great capabilities. I don't know whether he has a shot at it at all.
But is it politically realistic to expect him to get anywhere against an incumbent president who has not been doing so badly in the... Sure, yeah, or nominated. Let's talk about the nomination. That's the first, Malcolm.
Well, I think that he'll be a noticeable figure at the convention, let's say.
You're not altogether uncomfortable with Gerald Ford, are you?
Not at all. I just, his camp is what bothers me. I mean, he has no followers or no team. They're all manipulators. He makes a statement and they manipulate something around, and he has to vacillate and say that that, you know, change his point of view. I feel sorry for him. I think he's a terrific guy, but I'd just like to see him change the whole setup, and I don't think that it will happen with Jerry Ford. And I like him very much personally, and I don't think we're going to go down the drain if he becomes president. I just happen to be for the change, and I feel that that the other man proved himself in California. He took it over as a bankrupt state, and 8 years later turned it back with a $4 billion surplus. He put men in charge of the damn bureaucracies that didn't want the jobs, rather than somebody that was trying to build up the bureaucracy to make themselves important. They gave him back the key to some of those offices and said, you don't need it. He just did a fine job. He came up with a law for the state where you could only tax the people up to 6% of the state income. And this was a voice from the wilderness, you know. But the liberals managed to aberrate that to where the people didn't realize what he was doing. He had emergency rules in where they could tax for a couple of years more than the 6%, but if they did it longer than that, it had to go back to the people. Now, this is the only way we're going to clear up bureaucracy and big government and unimportant branches that develop in order that a man can feel more important in his particular bureau.
But you've got some friends who are liberals.
I'm liberal.
Come on. You're liberal.
Of course.
I'll bet you $100 you're not going to vote for Tom Hayden in California.
Well, I don't think that Tom Hayden is liberal. I understood liberal as, maybe I read the wrong dictionary, but I thought that a liberal was a man who would listen to everybody's point of view and then make up his mind what he was going to do. I made up my mind pretty fast, but I don't know of any of these so-called liberals that listen to anything but their own mouth. Pardon my English.
Got 1,000 questions out there. Let me just pick up some of the loose ends here. You know, your movies have had such an impact on our culture. There's you are a kind of a, you know, you're the...
Well, I hope the shootist has some kind of an impression on it. I hope enough people go to see it.
That's Jimmy Stewart, Richard Boone.
Jimmy Stewart, Orrin Bacall, Richard Boone, Hugh O'Brien, and a young fella named Ron Howard, who I think is as good an actor as I've ever worked with.
Happy Days Kid?
Yeah. He's just wonderful.
Duke.
I'd be proud to have him be my boy.
Duke,
I'd be prouder if I was his age and he was my brother.
Okay, here's the picture now. I want you to help me out. How do you...
All right.
That the John Wayne movie conveys simple justice, you know. That's the way you solve problems. And the feeling that you're such a popular guy that out there in America, there are a lot of people that want us to solve problems that way right now, and they're forgetting about the Constitution.
Keep writing me letters and telling me that that's what it should be done. Keep talking, and I say, write back and say, well, why don't you guys talk once in a while? You know, I don't want to be the target.
You think it's... Do you think about that? That violence is the way to... That's the
well, violence is not that's not it at all. I naturally have, due to the fact that I have been in Westerns, which is our folklore, in which men were fighting against the elements. Very few of them had any trouble where they had to go lie down on a couch. They were too busy staying alive. And naturally, you'd get the impression of quick, cold, violent reaction. But actually, in my pictures, it's been more illusion than violence. In the present-day pictures, where they put a calf's liver on somebody and put an electric charge in there and blow it up in slow motion, naturally, that is a bad taste. That's why I hate the way they've rated pictures, because before, it depended on a man's capabilities, his good taste, and how far he'd gambled to make a risque picture. And his peers would only give him the seal if they felt that it was worthy of the name motion picture.
You've shot more people, though, than anybody in the history of the business.
But you've never seen me in the same shot shoot a man. It was a rule then that you could only, you shoot like this and then you cut to the guy taking it.
You mean you couldn't have a two-shot of you shooting?
Never. Up to, let's say, the days of Valenti, who is now the...
You know, they're trying to pass an ordinance in Chicago wherein ultra-violent movies would be reviewed and so on and rated, and young children would not be permitted to see them. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if they're going to let them go in and watch not their father and mother, but somebody else's father and mother in bed. I think they ought to let them watch somebody getting hit.
Yeah, some of those movies are... Have you ever seen a dirty movie?
Listen, I saw them in stag shows,
yeah,
and they weren't nearly as bad as some of the things that are out today. I try to see them all.
One more before...
No, it's not a spectator sport. I think it's ridiculous.
Sex, you mean? Sex is not. You wouldn't... Do you imagine if I could... Do you realize what you could do to the circulation of a magazine?
What? Too many calluses.
Yeah. We'll be back in just a moment with John Wayne.
That's the Duke, but you knew that, didn't you? Yes.
I would like to ask you if you had trouble when you first became a superstar coping with your success, if there was some sort of ego or personality evolution with women falling all madly in love with you and people
I was very
you.
lucky in my career. I had a lot of very stable people in the business who were friends of mine. And every time that I got out of line, John Ford or Howard Hawks or Henry Hathaway or Harry Carey would belt me over the head. So it took me a long time to find out that I was a star. Is that a short enough answer?
Yes. Yes.
Do you have any regrets about your career? Something you wish you had done that you didn't?
No, I'm quite happy with it. Maybe I wish I'd have saved a little money, but outside of that, Doesn't matter, but I don't know. I'd probably spend it the same way again.
Why do they call you the Duke?
Because I had a dog, an Airedale dog, when I was a little kid. Is this working?
Yeah, that's fine. They can hear you. Excuse me.
I had an Airedale dog called Duke, and he'd follow me to school and stop at the fire station. The firemen knew the dog's name, so they called him Big Duke and me Little Duke. That's true. So I got it.
I'd like to know what your favorite book is.
What my favorite book is?
Yes, if you do much reading.
It's got H-O-L-Y on it.
I'd like to know if you've ever done anything on the stage or if you'd ever consider it.
Well, I was in high school plays and all that sort of thing, and we did a charity thing of What Price Glory earlier in my career, where all the stars in Hollywood did parts, and we went over to Pasadena and around. I was in the oratorical contest for Shakespeare when I was younger. Couldn't remember my lines. I don't particularly. I kind of like it the way it is. You get another chance if you blow a line.
I should acknowledge that of the many honors that you've received and the excitement that's attended your visit here to Chicago, I think you've been on the front page 3 out of the 4 days you've been here. The King of Sweden was here and left. I don't think many people... It's clear that Chicago got much more excited over a duke than a king. One of the things that I should have... This may be a liberal press, but they're all over you, my friend. Boy, your interviews, pictures...
Yeah, they've been great to me, too.
You have also been the recipient of the Entertainer of the Year Award from the University of Notre Dame Club of Chicago, in which I proudly claim membership and offer you once again my congratulations.
Why'd you grow the mustache?
What?
Why did you grow the mustache? Was it...
For $1 million. No, it's for this picture that I just finished, and I'm still out trying to promote the shoot this because they're going to release it. We finished it 2 weeks ago, and they're going to try and release it by July the 26th, so it's going to be pretty hard for us to get the word around that it's coming out. I don't want them to say, gee, that was a nice picture, and everybody says, where? When was it playing? You know, and it's gone, and nobody sees it, so that's why I left it on. That and the fact that I kind of like to be Buffalo Bill.
How did your career in show business begin?
Well, I guess the first time that I was really recognized in show business was I was going to the University of Southern California, and we just started having good ball clubs, or being recognized by the East, Middle, West, and South. And so the business became very interested, and they got us jobs during the summer, and I went on John Ford's set. And they'd had a habit of, they say to you, oh, you play football. Huh? Well, how do you get down? So you get down, they'd push and pull you. And this got a little boring. So when they'd ask me, I just braced myself on all 4 limbs, which is not the position to be in if you're in a football game. And Ford had played a little ball, so he said, well, stop me, and he just kicked my feet out from under me, and my face went down in that so-called mud that was made of plaster on this phony mountain in the set. And I said, well, let's do her again. And he started around me, and I whirled and kicked him, hit him right in the chest. Down he went. There was a dead silence, and he started to laugh. There was one time when I was pretty near not in the motion picture business.
While I'm back here? Yes.
You enjoying yourself in Chicago?
I certainly am, and I'm enjoying myself here.
Have you been to Greektown yet?
To what?
Greektown.
I've been to Greece, but I haven't been to Greek.
No, you haven't been to Greektown.
Well, you've been everywhere else in this town. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know how many movies have you made?
Well, I've made over 200 if you consider the serials and 4.5-day wonders that we made at the beginning of my career.
Did you hurt yourself in The Quiet Man?
No. No, that was an easy fight. That was an easy fight.
You have hurt yourself, though.
Well, you know, you get somebody, an amateur, you're working with an amateur, and you know, in the business of hitting at someone and not touching them. Sometimes they come a little closer than you expect, knock you down. But that's all right. It's worth it. Good money.
How many children and grandchildren do you have?
Well, I have 7 children and 20 grandchildren.
Do they want to be
Don't ask me to name them.
Do they want to be in movies?
I don't know. I suppose everybody wants to be in movies. It seems like everybody has 2 businesses, theirs and mine.
Yes, ma'am.
Of all the movies that you have made, sir, which is your favorite?
Well, you like different pictures for different reasons. I loved Stagecoach, naturally, because I stepped on that stagecoach and it's carried me a long ways. I liked Tatari, which was a picture we made in Africa, because I had a 3-month safari free. You know, I mean, rich men don't get that, you know. And The Quiet Man, because I got to work with all the... I got to work with all the Abbey players and some forebears of my own family.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a favorite co-star?
Well, I like to see a good-looking woman opposite me. You know, I'm political enough not to answer that question.
How do you feel about the women's movement, Duke? Do you...
I think it's great. I think they should be paid whatever the man gets if they do his job. But I don't see any reason for him taking over some of the jobs that the more violent people of the movement would have you do. I know, you know, I don't think they should be out digging ditches, or in my business they work as a grip, let's say, which has a lot of heavy work. They're carrying the hammer. The hammer looks pretty good hanging on them, but the fellows have to stop their work and come over and help them when there's anything heavy to do. I don't think that's necessarily fair, but I do think they should get, you know, the same kind of money that a man would get if they're doing his kind of a job. I think, you know, Texas is... It's got a big swing down there now. This fellow that I know that has a good hunting dog, he likes to go hunting all the time, was telling me that it's really hitting his hometown. He has to put his wife up with his favorite dog now in the truck.
I don't know what's tomorrow. There's just going to be no end to it. Katharine Hepburn, did you like her?
Loved her.
Were you a little nervous meeting her, and was she nervous meeting him? There had to be, with all the publicity and...
Yeah, well, you know, there's another thing. Damn politics comes in. I've been for 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans or something in my life, but I'm supposed to be a right-wing extremist Republican, and she was noted for being a little further the other way. And so when we first went on the set, there was a sort of a quiet, and it was stated that there would be no press on the set, and I finally said, well, can I have the couple come out and see me? And she relented and said yes. And the first fellow that came out said, well, how is it working with Katharine Hepburn? You know? I said, well, I'm sure that Spencer Tracy and Humpy Bogey would be envious of me if they were here now, working with this wonderful personality and this really professional actress. I said, there's only one thing wrong. He said, what's that? And I said, well, she's a little more conservative than I. But who isn't? Well, from then on, there was no trouble. She belly laughed on that and answered. It took 40 minutes to think of an answer. And from then on, the set was open, and She's a delightful woman.
Is she I can't imagine directing you two. I mean,
Well,
who's the poor guy that had to come in there and tell you two what...
He was a poor guy, and he was a poor director. No, he was kind of new around the business.
How old
and
was
there's some question about, you know, his capabilities. But the scenes we were in, I think, turned out pretty well.
We're in Chicago with the Duke, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You know, I'm kind of new around here.
John Wayne is with us here in Chicago, and hi, I'm glad you waited. Are you there? Hello? I'm on the phones, guys. Go right ahead. Can you hear me? I'll wait for you. Yes, ma'am.
Are you optimistic about the future of America?
I'll always be optimistic about the future. Right up to when we stumble and fall down.
Duke, you have been with one lung since 1960.
3, 4, I don't know, someplace back there.
What's different? Do you take the stairs slower, or
I don't chase girls quite as fast.
in other words,
No, it slows you down. Let's face it, but I was very lucky in that the first picture I did after I had the operation, which was 2 months later, I had a fella directing me, Henry Hathaway, who had cancer, and he knew better than to pamper me. So in February, at 7,000 feet in cold water, he made me jump in the water. He made me do anything that they would have expected of me were I not in that condition. And I think it was the best thing that ever happened, because I never got that feeling of, oh, just take it easy, and you know, you've had a lung out. Matter of fact, they were tougher on me.
She wants to know if you're smoking again.
No, I did afterwards. I don't know what caused the cancer, but I guess smoking didn't help it any. But I tried cigars about 5 years later, and my metabolism had changed, and I was allergic to tobacco, so I can't even chew now, which makes my family very happy.
What do you enjoy doing in your leisure time?
Well, I haven't had a whole lot of leisure time, but I have a ship, and if it's a summer vacation or Easter, I love to have the kids out on the boat and take them around to Mexico and fish and whatnot.
Excuse me, are you actively campaigning for Reagan?
Am I what?
Actively campaigning for Reagan at the time?
Well, I haven't really had the time to actively campaign for him. I guess that's as active a campaigning as I've done so far. But I'm merely stating facts and trying to let you know, when he was put on the air the other day, they wouldn't give him the time until the last minute, so that the TV guide wouldn't even be able to tell you what time he was going on. You have to give your speech to Cronkite and his lesser satellites, and they're all ready, so that when your speech is finished, now everybody that listens to TV hears what they have to say, and they can, by turning one little sentence, they can turn you off about reading the speech, and you never get a chance to find out what the man's point of view was or what he's done in his career. And it's, I think it's a little irritating. I'm sorry that the news is now put in the marketplace to sell Toyotas and trucks and toilet paper.
I'll be back in a moment with the Duke, John Wayne.
Are you and Mayor Daley good friends?
Well, I found him to be a a wonderful character, and I tell you, this town is as great a city as I've ever been in, and I know good and well it's because of the leadership, so he's done something that's worthwhile.
I'm moving to Arizona, not far from your
Pardon?
ranch. I said I'm moving to Arizona, not far from your ranch.
Well, how do you figure not far?
It's about 8 miles down the road a piece.
Is that right? Well, good. Stop in and have a cup of coffee next time.
Is there a house there? That's why I see the cattle and trailers, and I want to know if there's a house way back in there.
Well, there's a house further north at the other end of the ranch where my partner, Mr. Johnson, lives. Another one where the man that's the head of the purebreds has a place there with that ice box with that stuff in it from those bulls.
And my niece wanted me to ask you, she met you at Francisco Grande.
Who?
My niece.
Uh-huh.
And she said you wore a great big silver buckle, and she wanted to know if on it was the brand of your cattle.
Yes, I have a big silver buckle called, and it has on it 26 bar, which is our brand. Yes. What about the girls in the back room?
John, you want to be remembered as being feo, fuerte, and formal, which means ugly, which is not true. Fuerte, strong, of course, and formal, humble and polite. I think you should add simpático.
Muchísimas gracias.
I want to know, would you go home with me and
Yeah.
I'll make you up a crazy house?
Don't say anymore. The short answer is yes.
Mr. Wayne, I want to thank you for all the epic movies you have made, especially The Alamo. About 10 years ago, our children had a problem in school where the teacher would not allow them in the social studies class to bring their history books into the classroom. So about 5 years ago, when your movie, The Alamo, came on, my girls said, "Mother, what's the Alamo?" And I said, "What's the Alamo?" Well, they never learned this in school because of this reason. And your movie taught them all the history. Now, I wonder if you realize what your epic movies are doing for the youth of America. I hope you keep them up.
I'd like to ask you a personal question. You want to go out to lunch today?
What? What?
Want to go out to lunch?
Sure. You buying?
How's your love life these days?
I'm 69 come next month, so.
In True Grit, how did you enjoy acting with Pam Darby? Is she one of your youngest?
Darby?
Kim Darby.
Kim?
Is she one of your youngest?
Well, she was a little rough to work with. She was a little rough on everybody. It was kind of new to her being so popular. But then, what the hell, we've all done it.
I'm curious to know that when you were a child, did you play a lot of cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians?
Yeah, sure.
Did you dream that you'd become?
I didn't dream anything about motion pictures. I sure dreamt about being a cop or a robber.
When you made that movie McClintock, and everyone was sliding down that hill into the glob, did you actually do that?
Not only I actually did it, Maureen O'Hara actually did it. And I'll explain something to you. The stuntmen, we had taken this place and put some plaster in these things and then put that kind of mud they use in oil wells down on it. Ooh, it's slimy. And it was about 54 degrees, the wind blowing from the north, and somebody had let the barbed wire fence down, so it was cold. And one of these stuntmen went down and tried it, and he cut his head, and he came back. Now they're all standing around talking about, well, I don't know, think about 150 for this. And I said, Maureen, you ready? She said, yeah. I said, get over there. She got over there. I said, stick me with a hat pin. She did, and I went, wham! Down she went, cursing at me all the way down. And the stuntmen had to change the amount that they felt that stunt was worth.
Hi, the Duke is on the line. Are you there now? Go right ahead. Are you going to give me 2 for 2 on the phones here? Is the caller there? They did, huh? I'd have waited for you. You know what's sad about that is so many people are trying to get through, and the one I push, the line is jammed. I'll be back in a moment with the Duke, John Wayne. I am sorry to say that our phone is broken. I think it's your fault, too, Duke. You had too many calls coming in here. I truly am sorry to all those Chicago area viewers who've tried to get in. It's not because we don't want to talk to you.
Yes, nobody wants to talk to me.
Hi, I just would like to know, we're a group from Milwaukee is here, and we
Yeah.
would like to know if you ever visited our fair city.
No, I haven't, but I'd like to.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if he came into Summerfest
had a lot
with
of
us
your
this
products.
I should. That's not fair. He's got more to do than come to... The beer tastes better there, though, John.
Yeah.
Do you have any hints for successfully raising a family?
Do I what?
Have hints for successfully raising a family?
No, all I know is that I have been the luckiest man in my business. I have 7 children that I am very proud of. 4 of them already grown up. And I know a lot of it's luck, and I know also a lot of it is that they've felt love and security at home. That's all I can tell you.
Of your children, is Patrick still making movies?
Pardon?
Is Pat still making movies, your son?
Well, he made a picture called The Bears and I for Disney last year. But business has been kind of slow for him. You know, he strips well, but he won't do it.
Yeah.
I know you find all types of women stimulating, but what
You're
is your
right there.
special attraction for the Spanish? What is your special attraction toward the Spanish types?
Well, it seems that the only times that I've been free, you know, when I'm not working, been on vacation, I've headed south. So I've seen more of them and been in closer contact with more of them than I have in the north.
Yes.
As a small-town Republican politician, I am proud and pleased that a man of your caliber is associated with our party, and I hope we never lose you.
And you'll be brief.
But the reason I'm concerned, according to the press, you've recently been not only wined and dined by the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Daley, who is Mr. Democrat #1 of Illinois, and I hope to hear from you that you will never fail the Republican Party.
I will try and never fail the wonderful country that I live in. And I will continue to respect men who I think are doing a good job for our country.
John, what size are your boots?
What?
What size are your boots? My husband
10
wears
and a
13.
half.
10 and a half?
Yeah,
My husband wears 13. I was just wondering.
he's got me there.
Have you ever thought of retiring from show business?
Ever thought of retiring, Duke?
Never.
Hi.
Maybe I should, but I never thought of it.
Hi. A neighbor of mine mentioned that you seem to wear the same vest in all your movies. Is this true?
Well, you know, for a while there, I had to wear the same clothes. The pictures were made so cheaply, but now I don't know, I changed vests.
I have two things to say. I liked your movies, and I liked the part where, you know, you always came crashing in the door and you grabbed the woman and everything like that. But why in the early movies did they have you sing?
This is a question that I raised to the producer. They had a picture in which the hero hummed every time he got mad and was going to kill somebody, and then they put words to it. And then the Southern exhibitors kind of liked it, so they added another song. And the three of us that were in this thing, the fellow over here that was playing the guitar, the fellow over here that was singing, and me that had this phony thing on my lap, we're all beginning to get a little irritated with this. When I got up to 4 songs, I'd be running around finding a guitar 3 to get a guitar. And I finally went to the boss and said, I've had it. The kids now ask me to sing, you know, old silver-haired granddaddy when I get on the stage, and it's not my racket. He says, well, what'll I do? I said, go get the biggest hillbilly singer in the country and make a star out of him. And he did. It was Gene Autry.
You like the... Who did you throw on the bed the other night? No, wait. No, the...
You mean here?
No, in the movie, at the Notre Dame banquet. We were watching movies.
Maureen O'Hara.
Movies! That was Maureen O'Hara. What film was that? It wasn't Quiet Man.
Quiet Man.
It was Quiet Man. That's... Women like that.
Yeah, that was very manly.
Yeah.
Very, you know, you felt like, oh, John Wayne, there he goes, you know. It was just, you were known for that. My husband thinks you're great, you know. Oh, if that's a man, you know, John Wayne.
Well, I'll tell you, when they wrote that particular play, when the woman slammed the door and locked it, the fellow was supposed to go over and open his trunk and take out the boxing gloves that he'd used when he lost, or when he won the championship fight, and throw them in the fire to show how non-violent he was. And I had a big beef with the director. I said, you know, that nobody's going to want to, you know, they won't sympathize with this character after this if he lets this woman lock a door on him. And finally, they let me kick the door in, and it came up with it was actually responsible for the funniest scene in the picture, when little Barry Fitzgerald, bringing her things from her dowry, and brings in the baby cradle and sets it down in the room, looks over and sees that broken bed. I mean, nobody ever heard what he said.
Yeah.
Do you watch all of your movies, and do you enjoy them if you do? A lot of stars say they don't watch them.
Well, I have seen all the pictures that I've made, and I think professionally it would be kind of ridiculous for me not to see them.
Are you critical, or can you enjoy a movie?
I'm most critical, yes, but hell, a lot of them I've enjoyed.
John, what is the most dangerous stunt you've done in a movie?
Talk back to Marlene Dietrich.
Yes. Which director do you most admire?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of wonderful directors. Mr. Ford, who was my mentor, he started me in the business. I had quit school and taking a pre-legal course at the University of Southern California because I figured that I would like to be in pictures, not as an actor, as a director. But I had such tutelage under him, and I knew his style so that he's the man that most stands out in my mind. But Howard Hawks probably gave me a greater boost in the business than Mr. Ford, because he admitted that I was helpful to him and that he thought I could act, which Mr. Ford let the boys go around. You know, he liked the credit for that. I'd have to do a picture of him and then go back and make one of those 4-day things. So, you know, I have different, you know, it's like anybody else. You have different feelings for different people. Henry Hathaway was been great to my career.
Excuse me just a moment. I should say that you are currently starring, or will be starring, in the soon-to-be-released movie titled The Shootist, and we'll be back in a moment. I thank you very much. Wish you continued success to the Duke, and I thank you for joining us.
Provided and promotional fees paid by the following. 1-800-US...